Welcome to Wisp Tales, where big ideas become stories you can use. Today, a top psychologist's playbook for breaking bad habits. Practical, science-backed, and doable. Settle in. Let's rewrite the loop that's been running your life. Picture your habit like a 3-beat rhythm. Cue, routine, reward. The cue is the trigger. Time, place, emotion, person, preceding action. The routine is the thing you do. Scroll, snack, snap. The reward is what your brain thinks it gets. Relief, stimulation, comfort. Most people try to brute force the routine, but pros start by mapping the loop so the fix isn't a guess. Start with a 7-day habit audit. For the one habit you want to break, capture 5 quick data points every time it happens. When, where, with whom, what feeling right before, what tiny benefit did I get after. You'll spot a patterned cue, for example, 10:30 p.m. plus couch plus boredom, and a real reward, for example, relief from restlessness. That reward is the currency you must replace, not the habit itself. If your brain buys relief, it will keep shopping for it until you offer a better, easier, faster substitute. Now add a micro-pause. Name it, don't shame it. Say, there's the urge to, it's looking for the reward. This separates you from the urge. The feeling becomes a visitor, not a verdict. Next, craft a simple replacement that delivers the same reward with less cost. Restless? Try a 90-second shakeout. Stand, loosen jaw or shoulders, 10 slow breaths, or a 2-minute stimulating task. Ice water on wrists, 15 push-ups, 5 outside breaths. The rule: equal or better reward within 2 minutes, or your brain won't trade. Finally, rewrite the loop on paper, bolded and obvious. Cue: 10:30 p.m. plus couch plus boredom. New routine: 2-minute shakeout plus ice water plus 5 breaths at the back door. Reward: body feels reset, restlessness down. Rate it 0 to 10. Keep the card where the cue lives. Coffee cable, fridge, desk. You're not quitting, you're swapping. Breakers don't fight urges, they redirect them with precision. Breaking a habit gets easier when the target stops being the behavior and starts being the kind of person who doesn't do that behavior. A top psychologist would call this an identity reframe. Instead of, I'm trying to quit late-night snacking, it becomes, I'm someone who closes the kitchen at 8:30 p.m. That wording matters because your brain hates being inconsistent with the story it believes. The more often you assert the identity and act in line with it, even in tiny, almost trivial ways, the more your self-image updates and the less willpower you need next time. Think of identity as a thermostat. Once you set it, the system works to keep you at that temperature. Now, give that identity teeth with implementation intentions. Clear if-then sentences that tell your future self exactly what to do when a cue pops up. If the cue is, I finished dinner and want something sweet, the script becomes, if I feel that sugar pull, then I'll pour herbal tea, brush my teeth, and step onto the porch for 3 slow breaths. It's not magic, it's choreography. Your brain, which normally gets hijacked by the vague blur of an urge, now has a preloaded routine that starts running without a debate. The goal isn't to win a fight, it's to skip the fight entirely because the next move has already been decided. Environment design turns that script from fragile to durable. Habits are allergic to friction when they're bad and thrive on friction when they're good. So rearrange the room to tilt the game board. Put the phone charger in the hallway instead of by the bed, so doom scrolling costs you 30 seconds of walking in the cold air. Close the kitchen with a literal nighttime lockout. Lights off, counters cleared, a sticky note on the fridge that says, "Kitchen closed. Tomorrow you wins." Move the snacks to the highest shelf in a non-transparent bin, and keep the cut fruit or protein snack visible at eye level. In psychology terms, you're reducing exposure to cues and increasing response effort for the old routine. In practical terms, you're just making the easy thing the right thing. Because motivation wobbles at night, build a commitment device while you're still in a strong state. Text a friend, "I'm closing the kitchen at 8:30 all week. If I break it, I owe you $20. Put a calendar on the fridge and X out each day you kept the promise. The growing chain makes your loss-averse brain suddenly protective of the streak. If money isn't your speed, use social proof with a micro-accountability check-in. A 2-sentence nightly message to a friend or group chat. No lectures, just closed at 8:30. Craving peaked at 9:15. Tea and porch breaths worked. It's simple, a little public, and quietly powerful. 2 tactical levers carry this chapter home. First, the 5-minute rule lowers the start cost. Tell yourself you only have to follow the new routine for 5 minutes. Brew the tea, brush, step outside, then you're allowed to stop. Most of the time, you won't want to, because inertia flips in your favor once you've begun. Second, the 20-second rule adds friction to the old habit. Put whatever enables it 20 seconds farther away. Uninstall the app that eats your evenings. Move the game controller to a closet. Store sweets in the garage freezer. Those extra seconds are just enough space for your pre-written if-then to boot up and rescue you. Hold this identity frame lightly but consistently. You're not bargaining with yourself, you're casting votes. Each night that you close the kitchen is a ballot for, "I'm a person who respects my morning energy." Enough ballots and that becomes your default, not your effort. When the slip inevitably happens, you don't argue with it or make it a moral crisis. You simply reassert the identity, reset the room, and place the next tiny vote. That is how bad habits lose their citizenship in your life. Not with a dramatic showdown, but with a steady change in who, exactly, is running the place. A top clinician will tell you that cravings are waves. They rise, peak, and fall, usually within minutes if you don't feed them. The mistake most people make is treating an urge like an emergency, which hands it the steering wheel. Instead, you practice urge surfing. When the cue hits, boredom at 10:30 p.m., stress after an email, that after-dinner itch, name it out loud in plain language. There's a craving for sugar. It's promising me comfort. You're not denying it, and you're not obeying it. You're observing it. This tiny bit of distance quiets the alarm system in your brain and keeps the prefrontal cortex online long enough to choose. Now ride the next 90 seconds with a simple sensory routine. Stand up and shake your shoulders, jaw, and hands to bleed off physical tension. Put one hand on your chest, one on your belly, and take 10 slow breaths. Feel the lower hand rise first so the breath is deep rather than shallow. Sip cold water or hold an ice cube for 20 seconds. The sharp sensation interrupts autopilot and buys you time. If the urge is still loud, step outside or to a window for 5 full breaths while you label what you see. Tree, sky, streetlight, cloud. Your goal is not to win a debate with the craving, but to let the wave crest without you doing the old routine. If you can do nothing for 2 minutes, you've already weakened the wiring. Because urges love ambiguity, give your next move a script before you ever need it. The best ones are short and physical. After the 10 breaths, you make tea, chew sugar-free gum, brush your teeth, or do 20 bodyweight squats. You're replacing the habit's motor program with one that ends in the same reward. If your habit sought stimulation, the squats deliver it quickly. If it sought comfort, the chest-belly breathing plus tea deliver that feeling without the cost. Notice how this respects the reward instead of shaming it. The brain isn't the enemy, it just wants relief. You're providing relief on your terms. When the urge barges in at a predictable time, anticipate it with a pre-craving ritual. 10 minutes before your usual trigger, you do a 3-minute reset. Water, bathroom, 5 breaths, 2-minute tidy, phone parked in another room. Think of it like brushing your mental teeth before plaque sets in. The simple act of moving your body and changing rooms collapses the pathway that normally funnels you to the habit. Most people learn here that their overpowering cravings are mostly choreography and context. If the craving arrives attached to a feeling, lonely, angry, tired, treat the feeling, not the habit. Clinicians use the HALT check. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. If you're genuinely hungry, eat a real snack with protein and fiber before your brain demands quick sugar. If you're angry, write a 30-second unsent text to vent the headline feeling and then delete it. If you're lonely, send a voice note to a friend. A human voice changes your state faster than scrolling ever will. If you're tired, give yourself permission to be done for the night. The kitchen closes, the phone docks away from the bed, and the win becomes protect tomorrow's energy, not win a moral contest at 11:47 p.m. 2 advanced tools make the wave smaller next time. First, make the cue less sticky by changing microenvironments. Swap the living room lamp for a brighter, cooler bulb after 9 p.m., so the room feels less like movie plus snack mode. Move the throw blanket that screams, "Stay here forever," to a chair across the room. Park your slippers by the bedroom so the path of least resistance points towards sleep, not snacking or scrolling. Second, make the reward honest by rating it. After any slip or success, write a single line. What you did, how you felt 10 minutes later on a 0 to 10 scale. Most rewards score lower than your memory claims. Seeing that number weakens the old story your habit uses to sell itself. The point of this chapter isn't to become a stoic statue. It's to build a short, repeatable sequence you can run whenever an urge knocks. Name it to tame it. Surf the first 120 seconds with your sensory reset. Run your pre-written substitute and treat the feeling underneath if there is one. Every time you ride a wave without doing the old routine, the craving returns a little smaller and a little later. Soon, you're not fighting urges, you're noticing them like weather and going on with your evening as the kind of person who chooses, not chases. Here's a quiet truth top clinicians repeat. Most willpower problems are really physiology problems wearing a moral mask.
When you're short on sleep, chronically stressed, or riding a blood sugar roller coaster, the brain regions that do long-term decision-making go dim, and the regions that chase immediate relief get loud. That's why 11 p.m. feels like you were replaced by a raccoon with a credit card. Rather than judging the raccoon, you fix the cage it keeps slipping through. Restore sleep, lower baseline stress, and steady your energy. Once the body calms down, your bad habit suddenly has fewer open doors. Start with sleep, because it is the master keystone. When you miss it, your brain registers danger, nudging cravings for quick calories, loud stimulation, and easy dopamine. A practical protocol looks like this. Choose a consistent anchor wake-up time 7 days a week, then build the night backward. 2 hours before bed, dim overhead lights and switch to lamps. 1 hour before, close the kitchen and dock your phone outside the bedroom. 30 minutes before, run a mini wind-down. Brush teeth, set out tomorrow's first task on the counter, write a 3-line tomorrow plan, then read paper pages until your eyelids vote to close. You're training your nervous system to predict rest at a predictable hour, which makes nighttime urges feel less like emergencies and more like passing weather. If falling asleep is the snag, keep a notepad bedside for a 90-second brain dump. Giving worries a parking spot keeps them from idling in your head. Next, treat stress not as a character flaw, but as a body state you can shift. High stress narrows your behavioral menu to the quickest relief, which is why the habit arrives pretending to be a friend. Build 2 kinds of tools: daily, background, and in-the-moment, interrupts. For background, schedule a 10 to 15-minute walk in daylight most days. It downshifts cortisol and improves sleep the coming night. Add a tiny gratitude or wins line at dinner, one thing that went right, because attention is trainable, and a less threatened mind grabs for fewer numbing habits. For interrupts, practice a 60 to 90-second physiological sigh, 2 short inhales through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth, repeated. You aren't trying to be zen, you're changing carbon dioxide balance and heart rate variability so your body believes you're safe. A safe body can pass on the habit without a courtroom drama. Now, steady your energy so cravings stop masquerading as needs. Skipping breakfast, grazing on candy, or pounding coffee on an empty stomach sets up mid-afternoon and late evening trouble. Build meals with protein plus fiber plus color. That can be eggs and berries in the morning, chicken, beans, and greens at lunch, salmon, roasted veg, and a starch at dinner. Aim for water first thing, then caffeine after food so you're not flinging your nervous system into the ceiling. If late-night snacking is your nemesis, move a protein-forward snack earlier, to the late afternoon or right after dinner, so your hunger is honest, not panic. Remember HALT from the last chapter. If you're truly hungry, a real snack beats a white-knuckling toward a 10 p.m. crash. 2 small upgrades stitch these foundations together. First, design a transition ritual between work and evening so you don't carry stress into the hours where habits hunt you. 5 minutes. Close laptop, tidy 5 items, jot tomorrow's first action, step outside for 3 breaths, then re-enter as home self. Second, guard your first and last 15 minutes of the day like prime real estate. In the morning, touch sunlight, water, and 1 purposeful action before screens. At night, make your last input something calming and embodied. Stretch, shower, page turn, prayer, so your brain isn't digesting chaos in the dark.
None of this is glamorous, and that's exactly why it works. When sleep is regular, stress has an off-ramp, and blood sugar isn't lurching, the urge that used to feel invincible shows up smaller and later. Then, the tools from chapters 1 to 3, mapping cues, identity reframes, if-then scripts, and urge surfing, start working like power steering instead of wrestling the wheel. You're not stronger than your bad habit. You're simply better resourced than it is. Breaking bad habits isn't just a contest of will. It's architecture. You're designing a world in which the right choice happens almost by accident, and the wrong choice feels like walking uphill in sand. Start by giving your replacement routine a front-row seat in time and space. Put it directly after a thing you already do,
what clinicians call habit stacking. If the old loop fires after dinner, stack your new loop the second the plates hit the sink. Brew mint tea, brush your teeth, step outside for 3 slow breaths. The brain loves sequences. It resists standalone rules. You're not adding a chore, you're extending a rhythm that already exists so your body can flow without debate. Next, shrink the entry cost until it's laughably small, because friction is destiny. A minimum viable action turns a vague promise into a guaranteed start. Instead of evening workout, it becomes change into sneakers and do 30 seconds of marching in place. Most nights, that starter step snowballs, but even when it doesn't, you protected the identity you set in Chapter 2. You're the kind of person who moves at night. That identity vote matters on days your motivation limps. To protect the start further, set physical breadcrumbs in the afternoon. Fill the kettle, lay out the mug, park the slippers by the bedroom, place your book on the pillow. Each object becomes a tiny nudge that makes the new path feel pre-approved. Because the old habit will try to sneak in through convenience, add speed bumps where it lives. Uninstall the app that devours your evenings and make reinstallation require your partner's screen time passcode. Move the TV remote to the top shelf of a closet so you have to stand up, look silly, and think about your choice for 5 extra seconds. Store sweets in an opaque bin in the garage so the cold air and extra steps give your prefrontal cortex time to wake up. These are not punishments. They are tiny delays that let the if-then scripts you wrote earlier boot up before the craving writes the scene. When possible, automate the speed bumps. Website blockers that turn on at 9 p.m., grocery orders that never include the trigger food, app limits that require a written reason to override. Automation beats intention because it doesn't get tired. Now sweeten the new routine so your brain roots for it. Temptation bundling pairs a wholesome behavior with a treat that only happens together. If you love a specific true crime podcast, reserve it strictly for your 15-minute nighttime walk. If you crave a particular sparkling water, make it the reward you only pour after the tea and breaths ritual. If audiobooks are your thing, allow them only while you tidy the kitchen. You're teaching your dopamine system to anticipate pleasure from the new loop, not the old one. Track your wins in the simplest possible way. A wall calendar with bold X's, or a pocket note that says, closed kitchen at 8:30, craving 6/10, turned to 3/10 after tea. Streaks make the invisible visible, and visibility is fuel. Set your rule style to match your personality. Some people thrive on flexible guidelines, others need bright lines.
Reduce noise. If moderation keeps turning into mayhem, a clear boundary can be compassionate. No screens in the bedroom. Kitchen closed after 8:30. No delivery apps on weekdays. Bright lines remove negotiation, and fewer negotiations mean fewer 11 p.m. losses. If you're a flexible type, give yourself a weekly, planned exception that you schedule, not stumble into. Enjoy it fully, record it once, and resume the next day without moral accounting. Either way, the rule is kind because it's clear. Plan your inevitable lapse so it can't become a spiral. Use a simple 24-hour 3R protocol. Record what happened in one honest sentence. Review the cue and the reward you were actually chasing. And repair the environment by moving one object that would make the next right choice easier. If you binged on the couch, the repair is not a vow. It's setting the phone to charge in the hallway and putting the blanket on the bedroom chair. You're telling your future self, I expect to win, and I've made it easy. End each week with a 5-minute review. Circle 3 moments you're proud of, 1 sticky cue you'll intercept earlier next week, and 1 micro upgrade to your setup. Progress becomes a series of small architectural edits, not a melodrama about discipline. Finally, give your change a mission bigger than avoidance. When you frame the goal as no more scrolling, snacking, or drinking, your mind keeps glancing at the very thing it wants to escape. Switch to a toward goal that actually excites you. I'm building a 9 p.m. ritual that makes me proud of my morning. I'm creating a calm brain for sharper work by 10 a.m. I'm becoming the parent who's present after dinner. That meaning turns every tiny action, moving the remote, brewing tea, stepping into cooler night air, into evidence that you're building a life, not just dodging a habit. And when a life has a shape you like, the old behavior doesn't just lose power, it loses relevance. Bad habits don't only live in your head, they live in rooms and relationships. A top psychologist will ask, where does this habit have allies? Maybe it's the coworker who leaves candy on your desk, the friend who texts one drink at 9:15 p.m., or the family routine that parks everyone in front of the TV with snacks. You don't need to change people, you need to change the script the situation runs on. Start by listing your 3 most common social triggers and write a 1-sentence answer you can send without thinking. I'm off screens after 9, call me on the walk home. I've got an early training block, mocktail for me tonight. Desk is a sugar-free zone, but I'll trade you coffee tomorrow. Short, warm, and unapologetic is the tone. You're not negotiating your identity. Now upgrade the environment with people instead of against them. Create a buddy loop that benefits both sides. You and a coworker trade 2 minutes of walk and water breaks at 3 p.m. You and a partner run the same tea, porch, breaths ritual at 8:30 p.m. You and a sibling text a nightly debrief in 1 line, kitchen closed, craving 7 right 3. Social proof is a quiet amplifier. When someone expects you to keep a promise, you stop treating the promise like a suggestion. If you live with others, make the setup visible and neutral. Fruit bowl at eye level, treats in an opaque bin, remote in a drawer, chargers outside bedrooms. These aren't ultimatums, they're defaults that let the right choice win without speeches.
Reduce noise. Handle invitations with pre-commit and pre-decide. Say yes or no before you're in the room. And if yes, decide your boundary in a sentence you can repeat. 2 drinks max. Water between. Lift at 10:30. Dessert if I truly want it, not because it's there. 3 bites is a win. On arrival, order your first anchor immediately. Sparkling water with lime or a mocktail. Having something in your hand blocks the autopilot loop that reaches for whatever is offered. If well-meaning friends push, use the warm no. A smile, gratitude, and a redirect. Looks amazing. Saving room for breakfast. How was your trip? Rehearsing the line once at home makes it land kindly in the moment. Office landmines are usually within 15 feet of your chair. Move them past 3 frictions. Out of sight, out of reach, off your desk. Bring a default swap. Nuts, yogurt, fruit, jerky, and put it where your eyes land first. Set an app reminder labeled craving, 90-second reset plus water first. When birthdays and bagels arrive, decide beforehand. Take 1 and wrap it for later, scarcity loses power, or take none and grab your pre-packed snack. You're not the office contrarian, you're the calm one with a plan. If the candy bowl is at your elbow, relocate it with humor. I'm protecting my 3 p.m. brain. Trade you for a plant? Partners and family require shared language, not shared goals. You don't need your partner to quit anything. You need them to support your boundary. Try the 2 things talk. 1. What I'm changing and why it matters to me. I'm closing the kitchen at 8:30 so I wake clear and kind. 2. 2 easy supports. Let's keep ice cream in the garage freezer. If I say, kitchen's closed, back me up. Offer reciprocity. What habit would you like help with? Mutual support prevents your change from feeling like a household referendum.
For triggers that are people-shaped, stressful boss, tense family member, prepare a state shift before and after. Before, 2 physiological size, water, set a single outcome, ask for Tuesday deadline, and write it on a sticky note. After, 5-minute walk, write 1 line about the win. Park the phone for 10 minutes to cool the nervous system. You're teaching your body that hard conversations don't require old coping loops. If the stress is chronic, protect a weekly non-negotiable that refills you. Solo coffee and book, Sunday trail, midweek class. Boundaries that add joy are easier to defend than boundaries that only subtract temptation. Finally, plan the holiday travel exceptions. New places erase your routines. So pack a portable ritual. Travel mug and tea bags, gum, mini resistance band, sleep mask, earplugs. Declare a single travel bright line, like no screens in bed or water before caffeine, and 1 indulgence you'll enjoy on purpose. Text your buddy the plan before wheels up. The goal isn't perfection, it's continuity, a recognizable version of you in unfamiliar rooms. When you land back home, run the re-entry ritual that same day. Laundry in, groceries ordered, phone docked by 9. The faster you rebuild your defaults, the less momentum the old habit can steal. People and places will always tug on your patterns. That's not a problem, it's the whole reason habits exist. With clear scripts, kind boundaries, and environments tilted in your favor, social life stops being the saboteur of your progress and becomes the container that holds it. You're not avoiding life to protect a plan, you're designing a plan that survives real life. Friends, offices, families, and all. Top clinicians don't ask you to track everything. They ask you to track the few signals that change behavior. Bad tracking is noise. Dozens of stats that make you feel busy. Good tracking is a mirror that quietly nudges you towards better choices without a speech.
Reduce noise. Start by choosing a single lead measure that moves your habit most. For late-night snacking, it might be kitchen close time. For doom scrolling, phone docked time. For drinking, alcohol-free nights per week. Put that one metric somewhere you cannot ignore. Fridge, bathroom mirror, lock screen, and update it daily with 1 number or 1 X. You're not building a spreadsheet, you're building evidence your brain can't argue with at 10:30 p.m. Now, layer a simple cue log for 2 weeks to expose your habits' choreography. 1 index card per day with 3 lines. What was the cue? What did you do? And what was the after feeling? 0 to 10, 10 minutes later. This does 2 things fast. It punctures the myth that your habit is random, and it reveals that the reward is usually weaker than your memory says. When you see scrolled 45-minute, felt 3/10 afterward 3 times in a week, your brain stops selling you a luxury that keeps scoring like a lemon. You don't need shame, you need better math. Use streak psychology to turn small wins into momentum. Put a visible calendar where the cue lives and mark a bold X every day you keep the rule you set. Kitchen closed by 8:30, phone docked by 9. The job is not to be perfect, it's to never miss twice. If you slip on Wednesday, your only mission on Thursday is to draw the next X. This prevents the all-or-nothing collapse that ruins months for the sake of one off night. To strengthen the streak, add a floor, a minimum viable version you can hit even on bad days. A 2-minute tea ritual, a 5-minute walk, a dock and lock phone routine. Floors protect streaks, streaks protect identity.
Graduate from tracking to micro-experiments, 1-week tests that answer real questions. Keep them tiny and falsifiable. Does a 15-minute post-dinner walk cut my 9:30 craving by half? If I dock my phone at 9 p.m., do I fall asleep 20 minutes faster? Set the protocol. What, when, how long? The measure. Craving, 0 to 10, sleep latency, minutes, alcohol-free nights, and a threshold that counts as success. Craving cut by greater than or equal to 3 points, sleep faster by greater than or equal to 15 minutes, 1 extra AF night. At week's end, look at your numbers and write a 1-sentence verdict. Keep, tweak, or toss. This replaces vague hope with a scientist's loop. Test, learn, apply. Because motivation is moody, attach a small wager to the metric that matters. Loss aversion is real. Use it kindly. Tell a friend, if I don't close the kitchen by 8:30 at least 5 nights this week, I send you $10. Or, flip it. If you hit 5 nights, your friend buys the nice coffee Saturday. The stake should be laughably small, but emotionally visible. Money too much? Use social stakes. Text a nightly check-in. Closed 8:25, craving 6 to 2 after tea. Or post a private note in a shared doc. External eyes make internal promises sturdier.
Reduce noise. Collect leading indicators that predict a wobble before it happens. Most people have 2 or 3. 6 hours sleep, skipped lunch, high conflict day, 2 coffees after 2 p.m. Put your indicators on a sticky note, flagged if GE equals 2 today. If flagged by dinner time, you run your protective protocol. Early kitchen close, phone docked an hour sooner, quick bath plus book, no decisions after 9 p.m. You're not weak on those days, you're pre-exhausted. Professionals don't rely on willpower when the system is red. They change the conditions. For tech-based habits, let software be the guardrail, not the enemy. Install a website blocker that activates at your usual danger hour and requires a 60-second wait plus typed justification to override. That minute is the space your if-then plan needs to load. On the phone, set app limits that lock after 1 use. Keep the override code with a partner or in a notebook in another room. Automation is honest, no judgment, just a closed door that opens tomorrow. Don't let tracking turn into a courtroom. Use compassionate analytics. 5-minute Sunday review with 3 prompts. What worked? Name it. What was sticky? Describe the cue. What small edit will make next week easier? 1 object moved, 1 rule clarified. Close by writing your 1-line commitment for the week on a card. This week, I am the person who docks my phone at 9 o'clock. Place the card where your eyes land when the urge normally arrives. That sentence is not a wish, it's a job description. Finally, remember the point of numbers, to make your life bigger, not smaller. If a metric starts shrinking joy or turning evenings into audits, prune it. Keep the one that changes behavior, the one that protects energy, and the one that makes you proud to wake up. The rest is confetti. Good data doesn't nag, it nudges. Combined with the identity you chose and the environment you designed, those nudges become a current you can swim with, not against. There's a reason elite clinicians run short, focused sprints when clients feel stuck. The brain learns fastest in concentrated blocks with clear rules and visible wins. A 30-day reset isn't about perfection. It's about creating a controlled environment long enough for a new loop to outcompete the old one. The centerpiece is a keystone habit, one behavior that when it happens quietly improves 5 others. For late-night snacking, the keystone could be kitchen closed at 8:30. For doom scrolling, phone docked at 9 o'clock in the hallway. For drinking, AF, alcohol-free, weekdays. You'll still use the tools you've built, identity, if-then scripts, urge surfing, but the sprint gives them a stage and a clock. Design the sprint with 3 lines on a card you'll see nightly. 1. Identity. I'm the person who protects calm nights. 2. Bright line. Kitchen closed 8:30, phone docked 9 o'clock. 3. Minimum floor. If all else fails, tea plus 3 breaths plus brush teeth.
Then build a 4-week arc that gently raises the floor without inviting rebellion. Week 1 is about setup and friction. Move trigger items to high-friction spots, automate blockers at danger hours, lay out the visible breadcrumb trail for your replacement routine, and tell one human your plan. Week 2 is consistency at minimal dose. Hit your bright line 5 days out of 7 with the easy floor. Week 3 is capacity. Keep the bright line and add one 10 to 15-minute evening ritual that upgrades your state. Walk, shower, stretch, pages, prayer. Week 4 is resilience. Practice 2 planned exception nights where you follow an explicitly lighter version, e.g., kitchen 9, mocktail not dessert. Then return to baseline next day. This inoculates against the one slip equals slide trap. Sprints work because they compress decisions. Use daily anchors. A sticky note on the fridge at 7:45 p.m., 15 men to close, a phone alarm named Dock and Breathe, a lamp you switch to evening mode at the same time. Keep the lead metric brutally simple, 1 checkbox per night, and pair it with a 1-line reflection. Craving peaked 7 out of 10 at 9:20. Tea and porch breaths brought it to 3 out of 10. The checkbox fuels the streak, and the reflection keeps the story honest so your brain stops overvaluing the old reward. Expect a storm in days 3 to 7. That's when novelty fades and the habit you're replacing throws a tantrum. Meet it with pre-commit and micro-wins. Put your slippers by the bed, your book on the pillow, your tea mug under the kettle, and your phone charger in the hallway. When the urge arrives, you're not inventing a response. You're following a scripted scene. Use the 120-second surf you learned. Name the urge, breathe, cold water, then your pre-written substitute. If you slip, deploy the 24-hour 3R. Record one honest line. Review the cue and the real reward. Repair the room. Move one object so the right path is easier tonight. This turns a miss into maintenance instead of meaning. Because energy and mood swing, stack weekly safeguards. Pick 2 leading indicators, e.g., 6 hours sleep, skipped lunch. If either happens, your evening becomes protected mode. Close the kitchen 30 minutes earlier, dock the phone an hour earlier, choose the easiest soothing ritual, shower plus book, and forbid yourself from making big decisions after 9. Protected mode isn't punishment. It's a professional adjustment when the system is red. On strong days, let yourself bank momentum. A slightly earlier dock time, an extra page or 2, a short note to your accountability buddy. Banking is how you survive the next wobble. At the end of each week, run a 5-minute lab review. Ask 3 questions. What worked so well I should lock it in? What cue kept showing up? Time, place, feeling? What single environmental edit will make next week 10% easier? Write your 1-line commitment for the coming week. This week, I am the person who docks my phone at 9, no debate. And place it where the urge lives.
If your sprint target is alcohol or screens, consider a public but low-drama stake. A friend gets a $10 coffee from you if you miss the weekly target, or they buy you one if you hit it. Tiny stakes, real eyes.
Finally, plan the day 31 bridge before day 1. Sprints fail when the finish line is a cliff. Choose one durable rule to carry forward, the Keystone Bright Line. Keep your nightly checkbox for another 30 days and schedule a single celebration that reinforces identity, not a rebound into the old habit. Dinner out? Great. Order the mocktail you liked. New book or better tea kettle? Perfect. You're investing in the ritual that replaced the spiral. The message to your brain is simple. We didn't grind for 30 days. We upgraded the default. When the default makes sense, effort becomes optional, and what used to be a habit to break becomes a habit you barely remember. A top psychologist will tell you that the voice in your head is not a narrator. It's a coach you hired by accident. If it's harsh, you'll play tight and small. If it's clear and kind, you'll take the next good shot. Bad habits thrive on 3 thoughts. I blew it. I'm weak. And this always happens. Each one is a trap door. The fix isn't blind positivity, it's accurate thinking. After a slip, state exactly what happened in one neutral sentence, then add one controllable cause and one controllable next step. I snacked late because I skipped dinner. Tonight, I'll eat real food at 6:30 and close the kitchen at 8:30. You just moved the problem out of character and into conditions where solutions live. Shame promises motivation and delivers paralysis. Compassion, properly used, is not letting yourself off the hook. It's putting your hand on your own shoulder so you can keep going. The clinical trick is validate, then direct. Of course I wanted comfort after that day. Any human would. And I also care about feeling clear tomorrow, so I'm making tea and docking my phone. Notice the and. It holds 2 truths at once and points your feet forward. Over time, this style of self-talk turns the habit from a moral battle into a logistics problem you're good at solving.
Reframing cravings also matters. Most people tell themselves, "This urge will drown me unless I give in." A more true sentence is, "This urge is a wave that lasts minutes. If I surf it, it fades." Pair the thought with a body cue you trust. Hand on chest and belly, 10 slow breaths, and a pre-written substitute routine that delivers the same reward at lower cost. The brain follows felt safety. Once your nervous system settles, your better plan comes back online. If the urge rides in on a story like, "I deserve this," rewrite it to, "I deserve tomorrow's energy. Tonight, I'll earn it." You're not denying comfort, you're upgrading it. Perfectionism is another quiet saboteur. It whispers, "If you can't do it right, don't do it." The antidote is the minimum viable action you defined earlier, wrapped in a new belief. Half credit counts. When you dock your phone late but still dock it, or close the kitchen at 9:05 instead of 8:30, say out loud, "Still a win."
This isn't spin, it's learning theory. The brain wires what you repeat. Rewarding the smaller version keeps the loop alive on lean days so it can grow again when conditions improve. Clinicians will even have you rehearse imperfect wins on purpose, closing the kitchen after one bite of dessert to prove you can stop mid-urge without theatrics. The muscle you're training is interruption, not purity. Finally,
Link your habit change to a value that outranks convenience. Ask, who benefits when I keep this promise? Maybe it's the version of you who shows up to work sharp, the partner who gets your patient self in the morning, or the kid who learns that adults can change. Values make sacrifices make sense. On nights you're tempted, speak the value aloud like a password. Present parent, clear morning, kind brain. Then run your short ritual, tea, porch breaths, phone docked, and picture tomorrow's version of you saying thanks. That's not corny. That's motivation with a face. You don't need a new personality to break a bad habit. You need a different story about what the urge means, what a slip means, and what the next 2 minutes are for. When the inner coach calls the play with accuracy and kindness, your feet follow. The habit doesn't disappear in a puff of inspiration. It loses jurisdiction. And every time you practice this, neutral sentence, compassionate redirect, minimum viable action, you make that jurisdiction smaller until the old loop has nowhere useful to run. Some habits come with chemistry attached, which means the urge isn't just psychological, it's pharmacology plus pattern. That's why pure willpower feels flimsy around alcohol, nicotine, cannabis, or even caffeine late at night. The playbook shifts from be stronger to harm reduction, bright lines, and replacement rituals that respect the body's expectations while you change the terms of the deal. Start by choosing your stance for the next 30 days. Full pause, AF or no nicotine or no THC, weekday only, or time-boxed, e.g., alcohol only on Saturdays, caffeine before noon, edibles not within 4 hours of bedtime. Clear rules beat vague intentions because chemistry loves loopholes. With alcohol, write a one-sentence why and put it where drinks live. I'm choosing clear mornings and better sleep. Then pre-decide the exact alternative that scratches the same itch: sparkling water with bitters, tart cherry spritz, or a proper mocktail in a real glass.
Ritual matters. The hand feel of a cold glass tells your nervous system we're relaxing now, which is what the old habit was trying to buy. Pair it with anchors that slow the first pour. Protein at dinner, water between drinks, a hard stop time, and a simple exit, lift at 10:30. If you slip, switch to damage control, not drama. Last drink, tall water, sleep plan. The goal is consistency tomorrow, not a flawless streak tonight. For nicotine, assume mornings are easiest and evenings are hardest. If quitting, stack multiple supports: replacement, gum, lozenges, or patch per guidelines, environment edits, no nicotine in the car or bed, and a 2-minute craving circuit: ice water, 10 breaths, quick walk. If cutting down, make it numbers plus nudges. Set a daily cap, move the pack out of reach, and schedule the allowed windows. Text a buddy the count at day's end, with one line on what made it easier. Your brain learns faster from counts and contexts than from self-judgment. Cannabis complicates sleep for many people. It may help you doze off, but regular late-night use can fragment deep sleep and make next-day cravings louder. If you're testing a taper, try a wind-down swap: hot shower, magnesium-rich snack, pumpkin seeds plus yogurt, low-light reading, and a bedtime boundary: no THC within 4 hours of lights out for 14 nights. Track 2 numbers only: sleep quality, 0 to 10, and morning clarity, 0 to 10. If anxiety spikes, shrink the goal to every other night first. Physiology adapts in steps. Caffeine is a stealth saboteur after lunch. The fix is timing, not shame. Front load: water on waking, coffee after food, last caffeine before noon. If afternoons feel flat during the shift, use a non-caffeine alert: 10-minute daylight walk, cold rinse to wrists or face, or 3 rounds of the physiological sigh. Your sleep improves, which lowers cravings, which reduces the need for caffeine. A virtuous spiral you can feel by week 2. Finally,
Layer medical wisdom where it belongs. If a substance is entangled with anxiety, trauma, or ADHD, bring in a clinician. Expert help is a shortcut, not a weakness. Medications, therapy, or structured programs can make the floor sturdier so your behavioral tools actually stick. Keep the frame humane. You're not wrestling a character flaw, you're rewiring a system with clear rules, kind supports, and rituals that give your brain the state it keeps asking for: calm, connection, or stimulation, without the costs that keep stealing tomorrow.
A great psychologist doesn't end with inspiration. They end with a maintenance plan so your future self doesn't have to renegotiate every night. Think of this as your forever light version. Simple, durable, and friendly to busy weeks. Start by locking in one keystone bright line that makes the biggest difference. For example, kitchen closed at 8:30 p.m., phone docked at 9 p.m., alcohol-free weekdays. This is your seatbelt. You use it whether you feel like it or not. Then keep one minimum floor that you can hit even on bad days. Tea plus 3 slow breaths plus brush teeth. Floors protect streaks. Streaks protect identity. Next, give yourself a relapse playbook before you need it. Slips aren't verdicts, they're signals. Use the 24-hour 3R reset. Record one neutral sentence, scrolled till 11:40 after stressful call. Review cue plus reward, needed to decompress. Repair the room, phone charger in hallway, lamp to warm light, blanket on bedroom chair. Follow with a single protective day. Water on waking, real breakfast, 2 daylight walks, and an early dock time. That one day shrinks what could have become a spiral. Keep your energy steady so willpower never has to be heroic. Protect sleep with the anchor wake-up time and a tiny evening ritual. Treat stress as a body state. 2 physiological sighs, 5-minute walk, and feed yourself on a protein plus fiber plus color rhythm so cravings don't masquerade as emergencies. When a week runs hot, less than 6 hours sleep, skipped meals, extra caffeine, declare protected mode. Advance your bright line by 30 to 60 minutes and choose the easiest soothing ritual. Shower plus page of a book. You're not being strict, you're being professional with your nervous system. Your environment will keep doing half the work if you let it. Leave breadcrumbs for good choices, kettle filled, mug out, book on pillow, and speed bumps for the old loop. Apps uninstalled, remote in a drawer, treats in an opaque bin. Refresh the space every Sunday in 5 minutes. Put the charger where it belongs, restock the tea, toss the candy bowl, and rewrite your one-line commitment for the week. This week, I am the person who closes the kitchen at 8:30. Put that line where the cue lives. Make the good emotionally rewarding. Reduce noise. Bundle the habit with something you genuinely enjoy. Your favorite podcast only on the 15-minute walk. Sparkling water in a cold glass during your wind down. A playlist you touch only after docking your phone. Track one lead metric, the close dock time or AF nights, and call success never miss twice. If perfection chatter shows up, answer with half credit counts. Then do your minimum floor. Over months, this turns effort into autopilot. Finally, tie the whole plan to a value that outranks convenience. Say it out loud when the urge knocks. Present parent, clear morning, kind brain. Picture tomorrow you saying thanks,
because that's the person you're actually serving. Your identity isn't, I don't snack, scroll, or drink. It's, I protect my mornings. When the identity is that simple and the environment agrees, the old habit doesn't just lose power, it loses relevance. You now have the full playbook. Map the loop, swap the reward, set the identity, script if-then moves, surf the first 120 seconds, fix the foundations, architect the room, recruit people and places, run sprints, use compassionate analytics, respect chemistry, and carry a forever plan that makes good behavior the path of least resistance. This is not about being stronger. It's about being better set up. Every night, in the rooms you actually live in.
Thanks for watching Wisped Tales, where science becomes story, and story becomes change. If this helped you break free from a bad habit, like, share, and subscribe. It really supports the channel. Next time, we'll bring another practical deep dive you'll love. Until then, protect your mornings and be kind to your future self.